Okay, we'll call the meeting of the Porterville City Council to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Carrillo,
Present.
Councilmember Stowe,
Present.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Present.
Mayor Reyes.
Present, thank you. This is a time for oral communications, the opportunity to address the city council on any matter for closed session. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any written communications?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and no electronic correspondence?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And that means we can read the closed session and move into the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. We've got closed sessions pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, Conference of Real Property Negotiators, Property 311 North 2nd Street, Porterville, California. Agency Negotiator John Lawless and Jason Ridenauer. Negotiating parties, City of Porterville, Thomas Carey de la Rosa, 2001 Living Trust, under negotiation terms and price. Number 2, Government Code Section 54957.6, Conference of Labor Negotiator, Agency Negotiator John Lawless and Patrice Hildreth. Employee organizations, Porterville Peace Officers Association, Porterville Firefighters Association, Fire Officer Series, and all representative numbers of employees. Government Code Section 54956.95, Liability Claim Claimants, Adam Shields, Jesse Ray Shields, a minor, Violet Shields, a minor, and Rose Shields, a minor. Agency claimed against City of Porterville. Government Code Section 54956.91, Conference of Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation, Raya v. City of Porterville, Tulare Superior Court Case Number 283063, Government Code Section 54956.93, Conference of Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation, Significant Exposure Litigation, one case concerning Notice of Violation Number 5026493 from San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District, issued June 7th, 2021, and 3 cases in which facts are not yet known to potential plaintiffs. Government Code Section 549D4, Conference of Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation, Initiation of Litigation, one case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and we'll move into closed session and reconvene at 6:30 PM to open session.
And I'll just note right now for the record that on that first one, the mayor is not going to participate due to a conflict related to property interest.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will reconvene from closed session or into open session. Anything to report?
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Everyone, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Stowe and remain standing for an invocation.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would anybody like to lead us in an invocation? Please step forward to the podium.
Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity that we have this evening to meet together as citizens of Porterville, California. We pray, Father, that as the decisions are made today by the City Council, that they'll remember the people that elected them and what their desires might be. We pray that you'll be with all of us tonight and open our minds to what we need to hear and what we need to consider. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, that brings us to oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the council on any matter of interest, whether on the agenda or not. Please address all items not scheduled for public hearing at this time. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody in the chamber that would like to step forward for oral communications? Please come forward and state your name.
I don't know if I pull this down a little bit. These things are hard to get past. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Gary Santos. I'm here in the capacity of the one of the elected leaders for the Tulare River Tribe as a council member. With me, I have our consultant, Rick Grandinetti. He's been helping out the tribe a lot. I'm here briefly just to invite you guys to the groundbreaking on Thursday, June 17th at 8:30 a.m. for the USDA building in the Tulare River Fire Department wildland building that's being constructed on your way to the reservation. It's actually on the reservation. It's on some of the land that the tribe had purchased over the years. And once you guys get to the site, everybody will know where it's at. So I wanted to bring you guys the official announcement and also invite you guys in person. And just talk to you guys a little bit. The tribe really appreciates the relationship, the tribe and the city has built over the last few years that I've been around. And we just want you guys to know we appreciate that, And even for me, I've known, a lot of you guys now, Milt and Martha, and then also, of course, my sister, and then, me and Monty. We've done some traveling together, so. We just want to let you guys know that, we appreciate everything, and we want to keep that relationship going, and hopefully you guys can attend. We know the Brown Act comes in effect also. Hopefully it doesn't, or if it does, then, at least a couple of you guys could attend. I'll give you guys these. So, I don't know how many copies you guys would like, or you can make copies. But also, with that being said, I know we reached out to, like Lapeer and a couple of other firefighters and stuff like that. If there's anybody that you guys would like to be there, feel free to invite them. We appreciate it. And if we can, and we try to also bring the portable recorder with you guys. That's another issue I want to talk about real quick. I know I only got like 3 minutes, but we'd like to see some of the positive press, I guess you'd say, from the tribe get into the portable recorder. We know a lot of our crime, just like everybody knows, controversy sells. So, that's usually the first thing that gets printed in our opinions. But we'd like to see some of the stuff that, we've been collaborating on with the city and the county and the tribe, such as like the casino or even this, This has been a long time coming. Something like this we would like to see in the Porterville Recorder, so it kind of, shows the surrounding communities what we're doing, and what we can do as partners. So if you guys could reach out and bring the Porterville Recorder with you guys, that'd be awesome. And again, we'll reach out on our end also. Hopefully, they can at least print something, that'll shine a positive light on what the tribe's doing. Because as you guys know, as city council leaders, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that a lot of people don't get to see, And the better we can get it out there, I guess, it helps us all. So we would like to try to get some of the positive stuff out that the tribe is doing. And I'd like to thank you guys for your time. I mean, I know 3 minutes is not a lot of time, but thank you guys. Appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions for me, or you guys want to talk about something, feel free.
All right, well, we, in oral communications, we usually are on the listening end, but I did want to just say that it's always an honor to have a member of the tribal council here in the council chambers and addressing the council, so comments are always welcome, and we definitely appreciate the invitation, and we'll heed the words that you said regarding other folks on our end that may want to attend in our stead should the Brown Act come into effect, and hope to remain in good communication with you. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. And also, I gave a pin to everybody. Don't let Kelly keep them all. Make sure she gives you guys yours.
We got him.
Thank you.
Good to see all of you.
Good to see you.
Yes, would you like to come forward?
Just a couple things here. Again, my name is Rick Grandinetti. I work with the tribe, consultant for them. A couple things. One is I'm delighted that you did the Pledge of Allegiance. I am. Very delighted. And you did a prayer. I think that's great. Don't ever stop that. I love that. Last thing I want to say is it's not my first rodeo with Native American tribes, and this one categorically, emphatically, is the most humble people I've ever met in my life. They care, they speak very highly of you. Councilman Santos doesn't know I'm going to say this, but very humble. And this young man right here, single-handedly, is just taking the casino, making it work for everyone. I want everybody to know that. And I know I met you, Mr. Mayor, at a meeting, and I don't know if the rest of them, John was there, the city manager. He scared me. No, he was a nice guy. But the point of it is just very humble people. I am honored to work with them, but I am delighted that you did the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer. You made my day. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward? Okay. Do we have any written communications or electronic communications?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Please read the communications, if you will.
Okay. The first one is from a Pat Beck to the City Council. I am the treasurer for the Friends of the Porterville Library. As you are aware, the Spencer House was demolished and the Friends are waiting for the Stout House improvements to be completed so that we can resume our bookstore activities. The city's proposed budget included on page 19 an item for repairs to the Stout House in the estimated amount of $100,000. The Friends are anxious to move into that building as our books are currently in temporary storage in donated space. One of our generous benefactors needs this space again, so we are looking at options. We would like to see a copy of the report indicating the repairs needed for the Stout House. If one has not yet been done, we would like to know when we might be able to obtain a copy. The Friends would like to help expedite getting repairs done. Possibly we could assist with some volunteer labor or pay for some of the work with our funds with the provision that improvements would be inspected and approved by appropriate city staff. We were thinking that we might be able to obtain some donated materials and labor, which might expedite the time needed to make repairs and keep costs down. We have been in contact with Mr. Donnie Moore, but he does not have any information to provide us in this matter. We thank the council for their cooperation in allowing us to continue our activities to support the library. Opening our bookstore would provide a great service to the community while the library is in temporary quarters. There are no resources in the city that can provide the diverse selection of books that the Friends can make available at minimal cost to the community. When customers see us, they ask when the bookstore will open, and we have no answer. We are anxious to get back to work. Please respond no later than July 1st to this inquiry. Thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you on this matter. The last sentence does have a phone number. Not sure if we want to, sounds like a personal cell phone number.
I don't think you need to read it, but should any council members choose to contact, they may ask you.
Okay, and that would be it for that communication. The next one would be from Betsy Slatery. Dear Mayor Reyes, Vice Mayor Flores, Councilmember Stowe, Councilmember Peñalosa, Councilmember Carrillo, Library and Literacy Commission members Susan Obtain, Kim Baumgartner, Patient Christensen, Esther Figueroa, Edith Lavon, Catherine E. May, Leslie Pilon, and Library Facility Planning Committee members Natasha F. Sayev, Carol Brown, Vicky Cervantes, Juliana Glidon, and Donnie Moore. My name is Betsy Slatery, and I grew up in Porterville. I attended Westfield Elementary School, Bartlett Junior High, and Menachie High School. My mom was Margaret J. Slatery, a longtime teacher in Porterville and founder of the Porterville Celebrates Reading Literacy Fair. My mom passed away in 2004. Fortunately, her friends and community continued with Porterville Celebrates Reading because they also know the importance of reading, especially for children. My mom was also a founder of Read for Life. The city of Porterville honored my mother by naming the Children's Library at the Heritage Center after her. 3 years ago, the city's contract ended and the adjoining elementary school has taken over the library, and it is no longer part of the city's library system. I, along with so many others, was horrified when the Porterville Library was set on fire. I was heartbroken when I learned that 2 firefighters were killed in the blaze. It was a tragedy for the city to lose 2 brave, good men, especially in a facility that has only brought good things to the city. I know that the city is currently working on plans to rebuild the library. I have read about the community Zoom meetings, and I think it's wonderful that the city is seeking community input. I have not joined any of the meetings because I am no longer a resident of Porterville. I, however, have a suggestion for the rebuilt library. I think it would be honorable to name it the Figueroa Jones Memorial Library. I also ask that the children's section of the library be named the Margaret J. Slatery Children's Section. The name of the library would honor the 2 fallen men who battled so valiantly to save the city library. Naming the children's section after my mom would continue her legacy of promoting reading, especially among children. If you are fortunate enough to know my mom, you can probably imagine her saying, "Oh, Betsy, don't ask them to do that. I don't need my name on anything. I just want children to read." Well, I'm asking anyway. My mother did so much to encourage reading in this town, and I know she would be honored. I hope Porterville will honor these 3 amazing individuals, Margaret J. Slatery, who founded reading programs for children, and Fire Captain Raymond Figueroa and firefighter Patrick Jones for trying to save an institution that's centered around reading. I appreciate your consideration. Thank you, Betsy Slatery. And that would be the 2 that we received via email, and it doesn't appear that we have anybody that is on the Zoom meeting that wishes to speak.
Okay. Thank you for reading those, and that will conclude the oral communications portion. We'll move on to the AB 1234 reports. This is the time for the AB 1234 reports required pursuant to Government Code 53232.3. First, we have a report for the Eastern Tulare Groundwater Sustainability Agency meeting of June 3rd, which I'd like to ask Mr. Michael Knight to give the report for that meeting.
The GSA met to discuss items. We took action on approval of the minutes of the May 6th board meeting. Took action and approval of the May 18th special board meeting. We received a presentation from the Community Water Center on potential well mitigation programs. They considered approval for a contribution to the water blueprint for the San Joaquin Valley Education Fund for 2021. Discussion items consisted of the Eastern Tui Land Subsidence Management Zone Plan, still in draft form, and details are being put together as we speak. Discussion also was GSA to GSA transfers and sub-basin boundary and parcel splits was part of the discussion. The GSA board took direction on approval of a Eastern Tui GSA emergency ordinance number 2021-01, taking into consideration for the 2021 water year, allowing for a reduction in the consumptive use calculation by 10% and address the fallow land transfers of sustainable yield. And discussed outreach efforts. There was a outreach held at the Porterville Fairgrounds on June 8th at 2 o'clock, in which community outreach was performed. Other items was we received finance reports, approved financial statements, and approved budgets for 21-22. And the next meeting is scheduled for July 9th, 2021 at 1 p.m., in which a 218 public hearing will be conducted for groundwater extraction rates. And that was it for the meeting, if you have any questions.
Okay. Any questions from council?
No.
Okay. And thank you for the report, and thank you for attending in my absence, Mr. Knight. The next report is the City Internal Audit Committee meeting of June 7th.
Thank you, Mayor. We met on June the 7th. In attendance were Councilmember Kelly Carrillo, who is the member-elect right now. Members Maria Bemis, John Lawless, Julia Liu. City staff present was Patrice Heldeth, and I was in attendance. At this meeting, we reviewed the charge of the committee. We went over the ordinance of 1884 briefly with the outline purpose of the committee. The revisions changed from 1 to 2 council members of the city council, 1 member of the public, the city manager, the city attorney, and finance director. The member of the public position is vacant, and an outreach will be made. A review of the city auditor's contract. This item was brought to the table for future discussion. The current auditor contract has been signed. This would be a good time to review for the future the probability of a future RFP initiation, a discussion. This item will continue in conversation at another meeting. The review of the 2015 certificates of participation refinancing. Because this item will be discussed, I will summarize briefly the meeting, what we did discuss. Mr. Bud Levine of Wolf, Hansen and Company provided us with the 2021 refinancing project. In the background summary, he provided us with the 2015 certificates of participation outstanding principal balance of $18,105,000 and is held by Capital One Public Funding. The 2015 certificates bear an interest rate of 3.85% tax exempt and can be prepaid at 102% premium in 2025. Refunding the certificate would lower the interest rate to 2.70% from 3.85%. The estimated savings from issuing 2021 certificates is $904,996. The interest rate is locked in. Protection provisions subject to the approval by the board and city council. The 2015 payments would go away and the new replacement schedule would come in. The timeline task event was presented. This item necessitated a provisional approval by the audit committee. The provisional approval was given to move according to the timeline, which will be presented at tonight's meeting. Moving on, the review of the agreement between the city and the Chamber of Commerce. The committee was prepared to review the contract with the Porterville Chamber. We were informed that the president, CEO, had resigned. We had a brief discussion. The committee gave direction that we continue this item, reach out to the board president and its executive committee to meet with them and go over the particulars of the agreement. In addition, we requested the list of the current Porterville Chamber Board of Directors. The next item would be the development of committee work program and scheduling of future meetings. It was recommended that we would meet monthly or schedule as needed. Future items would include the review of unfunded pension obligations. We agreed that this item would be a one-time meeting focused on a future agenda, and that would be the only item of discussion. And then we would just bring back, it would be to review the Porterville Chamber of Commerce agreement, review the barn theater lease agreement, and review of the investment policy. That would conclude my report. Our next meeting is scheduled for July 26, 2021, and I'm going to ask legal counsel if that summarizes the content of the meeting or if there's anything else.
I think that just about covers all of it. I think the only other thing we mentioned was where our goal is to eventually look at all of the leases and license agreements that the city has.
Thank you.
So, and I believe staff is working on figuring out what all of those are and getting them all sort of organized for the committee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Are there any other questions from council for the vice mayor? Okay. Thank you. And that brings us to the next report, which is the Library Facility Planning Committee meeting of June 10th. And that will be Councilmember Carrillo.
Good evening. We met on June 10th, and committee member Cervantes reported on the progress of the community survey and the focus groups. So far, we've had a fantastic turnout of over 900 surveys so far. Outreach continues, and we will continue to obtain more surveys, and we're really looking for more from the Spanish population. We talked about different ways to do that type of outreach. The survey was inserted into the city's utility billing, which will reach all the Porterville residents that access city services. And there are 6 focus groups led by the library consultants that have been conducted to this date. A few more focus groups remain, including the library staff, city staff, the business sector, and the teens. Another item on the agenda was library services update. The library has partnered with the school district's summer lunch programs to distribute scholastic books to the children. A virtual summer reading program was launched on June 7th and will continue through July 31st. The grab-and-go books at the Centennial Park continue on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. Virtual book bingo has resumed for kindergarteners through 6th graders, Wednesdays at 4 p.m., and the first and third Saturdays. Lastly, we had a virtual tour of the Mitchell Park Library in Palo Alto, and this was led by their library services manager, Ruth Ann Garcia. That library opened on December 6, 2014, and the project included building a community center next door. The facility is located adjacent to tennis courts, a playground, a cafe, which helps make the site really vibrant. Some of the features of that library include a 700 square foot program room, storytime corner, outdoor patios, 4 meeting rooms, a teen room, courtyard, computer design lab, with large outside screen walls for movies and many environmental sustainable features. So we got to see a lot of that. It was really good, the virtual tour, very helpful to view it. The committee's next meeting is scheduled for July 8th, and that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Councilmember Carrillo? No. Okay. Thank you for the report. And the next report is the Tulare County Water Commission meeting of June 14th. Seems like that was just yesterday.
Yes, it was, and there's nothing to report because the meeting was canceled.
Okay. All right, we have some additional reports for committees and commissions and boards, subcommittees, and staff informational items. I do see some dates next to some commission meetings. Is there anyone who is present to give a report for the Parks and Leisure Services Commission meeting of June 3rd?
None in the Zoom meeting gallery, Your Honor.
Okay. The Arts Commission meeting of May 25th.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And the Transaction and Use Tax Oversight Committee of May 26th.
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
I can report that the two-talk committee did meet and they did review the proposed budget, and they found it to be consistent and they had no concerns.
Okay, great. It's always good to have the input from the oversight group. And there's also some staff informational reports that are included in our agenda, so I think those are...
Correct. We have the Water Conservation Phase 4 status update, and we're happy to answer any questions. I know Mike is available if you want to get more in-depth, but it was better news than the last time.
Any questions regarding that report from council?
No.
Okay. And thank you for the reports. That brings us to the consent calendar. All consent calendar items are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these matters unless a request is made, in which event the item will be removed from the consent calendar. All items removed from the consent calendar for further discussion will be heard at the end of scheduled matters. Council, how would you like to proceed?
Mayor,
Yes.
if there are no items to be pulled and no conflicts by council members on the dais, I move that we approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 14.
Okay.
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
And Your Honor, before you take action, I would like to draw to your attention, item number 9, there is a typographical error in the recommendation. It should be that we are seeking to authorize addendum number 2. However, it states addendum number 1. So that is a typographical error. So I hope your motion includes that.
The motion to include the correction.
Thank you.
And the second stands, okay. Great, so we'll go ahead and we'll call for the vote. Okay, passes 4-0, thank you. That brings us to the next section, which is the public hearings. We have 2 public hearings scheduled for tonight, and the first one's item 15.
Thank you, Your Honor. The first public hearing before you tonight is the adoption of fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Consistent with the city charter, the city manager has submitted for city council's consideration the proposed budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Section 51 of the charter provides that the city manager provide this budget no later than 30 days prior to the end of the city's fiscal year, and it consists of an estimate of expenditures and revenues of the city's departments for the ensuing year. The budget message presented with the draft document, including in the agenda packets, emphasizes significant projects and factors involved with the budget's development. It also recommends periodic review of budget targets and the revision of expenditures to meet those targets if necessary. During the council's review of the proposed budget at its meeting on June 1st, staff indicated that due to developing efficiencies in the city's self-performed street maintenance program, as well as increasing costs of materials, it was recommended at that time that an additional $400,000 in local Measure R funds be appropriated. That totaled about $1 million, and an additional $100,000 in Measure I funds be appropriated, totaling $500,000. The charter provides that after duly considering the estimate and making such corrections or modifications thereto as shall deem advisable to it, the council shall, by resolution, adopt a general budget, and such resolution shall operate as an appropriation of funds to the amounts and for the purposes set forth in the budget so adopted. All spending authority from the current 2021 fiscal year budget expires after June 30th. Thereafter, a new budget must be adopted, which allows payroll to be paid and routine expenditures to be incurred effective July 1st. The charter is not specific as to the duration of the adoption, thus accordingly, consistent with past council discussion, the council may authorize a budget adoption period less than a full fiscal year. But at this time, it is staff's recommendation that the city council conduct the public hearing and consider for adoption the proposed 2021-2022 fiscal year budget, including any modifications and for the time period as designated by council. We are available to answer any questions. I don't know if Maria, our finance director, has anything that she would like to add. Okay.
Council, are there any questions for staff before we open the public hearing?
No.
Okay, so it is 7:17, and we will open the public hearing. Is there anyone, actually, 7:18, sorry, and just changed on me. Is there anyone in the council chambers who would like to come forward and speak during the public hearing for this item? Okay. Seeing none in the chambers, is there anyone online, virtual, or electronically?
Your Honor, we received no written or email communication, and it doesn't appear that we have anyone on the Zoom meeting participant list that would like to speak.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we will close the public hearing at 7:18 and bring it back to council. Council, how would you like to proceed?
Well, we talked about this last meeting that went over the whole budget when the city manager was here. And as I went through it, I didn't see any changes, any derogatory changes anyway that would affect the budget. So I make a motion that we adopt the budget for the fiscal year of 2021-22.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? I just wanted to mention with the roadwork materials, it's smart to get that while we can, as we don't know what the material availability will be. So I'm glad we're looking at that. So with that, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Okay, item passes 4-0. Thank you. And that brings us to our next public hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next public hearing before you this evening is the consideration of Conduit financing for the Finca Serena Affordable Housing Project, and Mr. Ridenour will be presenting this staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Hildreth. Honorable Mayor and City Council, we are here this evening to conduct a public hearing pursuant to the Federal Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or TEFRA. TEFRA requires that a public hearing be held by the governing body of the jurisdiction in which a project to be financed with tax-exempt financing is located, and that governing body approve the proposed financing. Upholdings, California LLC has asked that the California Municipal Finance Authority, or CMFA, be the issuer of tax-exempt financing in an amount not to exceed $20 million to finance the acquisition, construction, improvement, and equipping of an 80-unit affordable rental housing facility for low-income households located at 358 East Street within the city of Porterville. The CMFA is a joint powers authority formed to assist local governments, nonprofit organizations, and businesses with the issuance of both taxable and tax-exempt debt. The debt is to be issued by CMFA will be the sole responsibility of the borrower, and the city of Porterville will have no financial or legal obligations or responsibilities with regard to the repayment of the debt. All financing documents will carry disclaimers that the loan is not an obligation to the city. The city will also bear no cost in the issuance of the proposed debt. It is recommended that the City Council adopt a resolution approving the issuance of the bonds by the CMFA for the benefit of the borrower. Such adoption is solely the purpose of satisfying the requirement of TEFRA, the code, and the California Government Code Section 6500. Staff is available for questions.
Council, are there any questions for staff before we open the public hearing? Okay. Question? No? Okay. All right, so we will open the public hearing at 7:21 PM. Is there anyone who would like to come forward and speak on the item during the public hearing? Seeing none in the chamber. How
Your
does-
Honor,
Okay,
Your Honor, it appears we do have someone in the participant list who would like to speak.
okay, please welcome them. Welcome.
Hi, this is Jessica Burzak. I'm the developer with Holdings. I've been in front of you, but obviously that was before the pandemic, and I was just here to voice my support for the project and thank you for your support along the years. We're fully funded now and hoping to start construction in October.
Great, thank you.
Your Honor, it doesn't appear that anyone else would like to speak.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we will close the public hearing at 7:23 PM and bring it back to council.
I'd
Count-
like to comment, if you
Yes,
don't
please.
mind. This is a project that has been in the woodworks for quite some time, and in some of my committee reports that I reported, stated that the Finca Serena is a project that would be coming to us in the future, and I'm glad to see it here and where it's at right now, and that we have gotten this far with Upholdings, and it pleased for me to hear that Jessica was present to speak on that behalf from Upholdings, because they have been very instrumental to the process in this regard. And I also want to highlight city staff for working with them, because I know that this project of affordable housing in the future is one that staff was looking forward to having it get to where it's at right now. That was my comment, and I don't know if other council members have any further comment, because I'm ready to go on this one.
Oh, I do. When this project was presented to us some months back, I thought it was a great project, and I think it's even greater now that they're fully funded and ready to roll. So I think it's just going to be fantastic, and, you know, good support in our community, and people see that we're trying to do something for our homeless.
I'll just add also, sounds like a really good project and looking forward to it, hearing more about it, the updates, and I also think really good timing. Something to look forward to.
Mayor?
Yes.
I have nothing to comment. Do you have something to comment? Because I want to make a motion that we accept the staff recommendation and move forward with this project.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second.
Okay, motion and a second. We'll go ahead and call for the vote. Okay, passes 4-0. Thank you. That brings us to scheduled matters. Item 17.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. We have 3 scheduled matters before you tonight. The first one being consideration of Community Development Block Grant, CV Nonprofit Grant Application for Central California Family Crisis Center, Inc. And I will ask Mr. Ridenhour to present this report.
Thank you, Ms. Hildreth. I've asked Ms. Calderon to present this item.
Thank you, Mr. Ridenhour. On March 27, 2020, Congress passed the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act. The CARES Act supports prevention, preparation for, and response to the community impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, and includes specific sections that apply to community development block grant programs. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has granted the city of Porterville a total of $882,536 in the CARES Community Development Block Grant Funds, known as CDBG-CV, to be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to COVID-19. On June 2nd, 2020, the City Council approved an amendment for the fiscal year 2019-20 CDBG action plan to include CDBG CV funds for the use of economic development. An addendum to the revolving loan fund, RLF, specifically for CDBG CV fund, was added to the RLF guidelines to include a forgivable business loan for business operating in the city of Porterville who were affected by COVID-19 to help them prevent, prepare for, or respond to COVID-19. On February 16th, 2021, the City Council approved an amendment to allocate up to $200,000 of CDBG CV funding specifically for operational support to nonprofits. A second addendum to the revolving loan fund specifically for CDBG CV funds was added to the RLF guidelines to include a grant for nonprofits operating in the city of Porterville that were also affected by COVID-19 to help them prevent, prepare for, or respond to COVID-19. So CDBG funds follow the same economic development rules as entitlement CDBG funds, with a few waivers and flexibilities granted under the CARES Act. In addition to the CARES Act requirements that these funds be COVID-19 related, as indicated above, the business must continue to meet a national objective and not to be a duplication of benefits. To document the national objective, 51% of the created or retained jobs must be held and or made available to low moderate income persons, and demonstrate that if not for CDBG CV funds, these jobs will be lost or not created. Additionally, the businesses must create or retain one full-time equivalent permanent position for every $35,000 of CDBG CV assistance. Central California Family Crisis Center, CCFCC, located at 211 North Main Street, submitted an application for CDBG CV operational support for nonprofits program, requesting a grant to be used as working capital. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted CCFCC in a number of ways, including the number of in-person services provided, closure of their thrift store, as well as a reduction in grant funding as that was directed to the COVID-19 response. CCFCC is requesting $175,000 to help sustain their operations with employee retention. Without assistance, they will be forced to take measures such as reducing staffing and cutting additional services, which will create further financial burdens. To complete, the complete budget is Exhibit A. Through the use of funds from the grant, CCFCC will meet the national objective by retaining 5 full-time equivalent low to moderate income permanent positions. The business is located in Census Tract 3802, Block 2, which is qualified as a census block, and over 70% LMI population, which is another method of demonstrating the benefit to low-moderate income persons. The Community Development Financial Assistance Review Committee reviewed the request and has recommended that the application be submitted to City Council for consideration. If approved, CCFCC will enter into a subrecipient agreement for funding on a reimbursement basis, incorporating non-financial employment plan agreement with the following terms. A subrecipient agreement shall be signed between the City of Porterville and CCFCC outlining the terms of the grant, including indemnification of the city, reporting requirements, and conditions for repayment if grant requirements are not met. CDBG funding will be dispersed on a reimbursement basis to be used for working capital to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the COVID-19 pandemic in adhering to the social distancing guidelines. CCFCC will enter into a hiring agreement with the City of Porterville to retain 5 full-time equivalent positions at Central California Family Crisis Center. The agreement will include language to ensure that 51% of the jobs retained or created by the CDBG funding will be filled by or made available to persons of low and moderate income. And third, if any of the time during the term of the agreement, CCFCC fails to operate the business located at 211 North Main Street here in Porterville as Central California Family Crisis Center, or moves outside the city limits, the current grant amount for the project shall become due and payable to the City of Porterville. So at this time, it is staff recommendations that the City Council consider the CDBG CV grant request in the amount of $175 for Central California Family Crisis Center under the terms and conditions identified in items 1 through 3 above, and authorize the mayor and city manager to sign all documents and agreements necessary to complete the project. And the applicant is on the call via Zoom and available for questions for the council.
Great, thank you for the report. Council, are there any questions for staff or the applicant?
None for me, but I'd like to thank our homeless lady for a thorough report. Thank you, Claudia.
Look at that smile.
Councilmember Carrillo, any questions? No. Okay, Vice Mayor?
No, I don't have any questions. I was just looking again the provisions of 1, 2, and 3, and I'm satisfied that with the wording of the, items 1, 2, 3, the conditions, the terms and conditions. I don't have any questions. And I don't believe anyone else has that I would.
I just have a comment that
Yeah.
when you read it on the surface and you see employees and you see operations, and that those things are at risk without the funding, and then and that's easy to picture what that is. But when you see services at risk, we have to remember that services are also people, and some people at the most vulnerable point that they may have in their lives. So even with the last item that we chose, I'm glad this council and staff are looking at ways to continue on that path. So
Mayor,
yes.
I would like to make the motion that we grant the request in the amount of $175,000 for Central California Crisis Center under the terms and the conditions of items 1, 2, and 3, and authorize the mayor and the city manager to sign all documents and agreements necessary to complete the project.
Okay.
I will second.
So we have a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and call for the vote. Passes 4-0. Thank you. And that brings us to the next item.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next item before you is the receipt of letter of resignation from Councilmember Peñalosa and consideration of options to fill vacancy for District 1. As the council is aware, on June 8th, Councilmember Peñalosa submitted his letter of resignation from the City Council, which was dated June 2nd. The city charter sets forth provisions for filling vacancies on the City Council. Section 16 specifically provides that vacancies shall be filled by appointment by the council, and that the appointment shall hold office until the next general municipal election. In this case, the next general municipal election in the city will take place on November 8th, 2022, which is also the date on which Councilmember Peñalosa's term would have expired. The city charter further holds that in the event that the city council does not fill the vacancy within 30 days, the vacancy shall be filled by the mayor. Given the city received Councilmember Peñalosa's resignation on June 8th, the council will have until July 8th by which to fill the vacancy, or Mayor Reyes shall have the authority to do so. In the past, processes to fill council vacancies have been as streamlined as accepting council nominations and appointing an individual upon a majority vote. Other methods have included soliciting requests for appointment for a defined period of time, appointing an ad hoc committee comprised of 2 members of council to create a short list of potential appointees, and conducting public interviews at a special council meeting, after which the majority would vote on which member to select. The council could choose to proceed with one of those options. You could devise a new option, or you could make a hybrid from any of those options. Regardless of which method of appointment is selected, the appointee must reside within District 1 in order to be eligible for appointment. I don't know if Ms. Liu has anything further to add.
Not at this point. Thank you.
So with that, staff's recommendation is that the council provide direction to staff.
Okay, thank you for the report. And items such as this is a rarity, so and given there are references to past process, we have to understand that this is an uncommon circumstance. So with that, I'd like to ask Councilmember Carrillo if she has any input into, and I'll just go down the line and we can discuss it.
Yeah, so I think for me, I would like to hear a little more from the more experienced council members, just because of the uniqueness of this situation. I mean, I do like some of the options that the city staff provided, so just want to hear a little bit of the dialogue from the council.
Okay. Councilmember Stowe.
Yes, I do have an idea, and I was trying to think back when we seated you on the council, if we just, the council directly nominated people, or we received applications and went through interviews, which I don't think we did, correct?
So my recollection, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a request for request for appointment that was sent out, that folks could fill out a document as well as write a paragraph or a page of their choosing, and then there was a period where those were, I think, vetted somehow, and there wasn't an interview process per se. There was an introductory
They could come up this
where they
stage.
would come up and they would talk a little bit about the background and what they would be able to bring to council, and then that resulted in the appointment.
Okay, that's correct. And I thought that was a good process, and I'd like to continue to do that, and we probably could, do that and get out the applications and probably have a special council meeting like on the 29th to get it done in time, because I thought that was a good process. And I just couldn't remember exactly what we did, but I thought it went very smooth, and, I had died a couple of times since then, so I couldn't remember. But I like to, continue with that type of process if possible.
Okay, and Vice Mayor.
I remember with that time because I applied for the appointment. And so it was information, it was to solicit requests for the appointment and to submit it. And also, I remember when we did the last one, there was a small little interview process when we did Virginia's, but it wasn't a full, it was when Councilmember Garola applied for the vacancy, the information was sent out, and we did sit up here and we did ask some questions, but they were not. So I would have to agree that we do get to, it's important for us to have the application, the appointment process, to have them submit for it, and to conduct a small question and answer, and to schedule the council meeting, a special council meeting, so that we can meet the timeline. Those are just my comments.
And I think, and just to kind of connect Councilmember Stowe's question and your comments, that at the time of the appointment that Councilmember Stowe referenced, it was an at-large appointment. There were 16 applicants, and so an interview process would have been not only time-consuming, but it would have probably not resulted in a fair first person and last person time period or attention span. So, but given that we're in districts now, the pool of applicants will most likely be smaller than the at-large. So I hear what you're saying with the interview and maybe having questions that are more district-specific, or at least represent knowledge of the district and how to best represent the district. So,
It's a combination of the both.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
from
this is the city as a whole.
at-large
Yeah.
At-large
And
into the
community.
district.
correct. And so, and now I'll just bring it back to Councilmember Carrillo and see if she has any thoughts.
I guess one question would be, this to fill this vacancy would run through the term of Councilmember Peñalosa's time of November 2022.
Correct.
Okay. And then if we did the application process, we could fit that in our short timeline that we have to fill with a special meeting? Okay.
Yeah, I think staff believes we can get that taken care of, right?
Yeah, so we are enjoying a 5 Tuesday month in June. And so you could hypothetically direct staff to fly the vacancy, advertise the vacancy, and then with a cutoff date that would meet our agenda preparation, which would be the Thursday or Friday prior to the 29th, which would be the Tuesday, the last Tuesday of the month. So then you could schedule a special meeting on the 29th to have the applicants come, and you could meet the applicants and ask them questions. And then you could make the appointment, I guess, either at that meeting, or you could schedule July 6th
Right.
to make the appointment.
You give yourself a little bit of a cushion that way, so that if
Right.
you, in the event you don't make the appointment at that special meeting, you still have that first meeting potentially in July to do that. And it would be basically next Friday would be the deadline, the 25th.
Right, so we would advertise it tomorrow and get it out, do a press release and put it on our website. And then we would receive applications through, we could probably do it Friday. We could get the agenda out on Friday. That would give it an extra day, or Thursday prior. So that
You
would
could
be-
you can make the deadline either the end of the day on Thursday to receive them, or noon on Friday or something.
That was my question,
That
if
would
it
be the
was,
5th, either the 24th or the 25th.
The 24th or the 25th.
is there, so just to be able to put it together, is there, would it be difficult, easier for the Thursday or the Friday, or
If we
about
cut
the
it
same?
off at 5 PM Thursday, we could then technically get the agenda out Friday.
Yeah.
Okay,
We typically get agendas out Thursday, but we really do it earlier than
And
necessary.
since this is a special meeting, you do have a little bit
We
more
do have some
leeway.
more
Correct.
Yeah.
okay. All right, so with that, then, I guess council would need to determine whether it's the Thursday at 5, but I think the 29th is
The special
a
meeting.
consensus for the,
Yeah, for the interviews or the meeting,
Yeah.
I should say, meeting of the candidates and questionnaires.
correct, and having the opportunity to make the appointment then or at a following meeting is good, because with the 8th being the deadline, it does provide us with enough time to make an appointment.
One suggestion that I had too is maybe just kind of clarifying for the public to know where is District 1, kind of the boundaries of
Yes.
that, just because it's such a short notice.
Very good point.
Yes, absolutely.
Good for me, because I don't know where district, I don't know what my district is, so.
This is a whole new world, right?
It is.
Right, yeah, it is, but, District 1 is a fairly important district. I mean, they're all important, but it's in the heart of Porterville sort of district, runs right through the middle of town from east to west, and primarily between Morton and Olive, with a few gaps. So I'd imagine we'll have some applicants that are listening in, and if not already anticipating. So I hope that we receive a pool of applicants.
So for clarification, would you like the opportunity in the staff report to allow for appointment at this special meeting on the 29th, or would you prefer it to come back?
Well, let's make it for both. We can either do it that
Okay.
night, or if we
You would
are
at least have
determined
the
at that time,
option.
we can always
Correct,
come
to
back.
have an option,
I like
to
that.
have the option.
Okay.
And that, an example of a good reason to have the option is if not setting up any ways to do it, but if we use the McCracken method and we have multiple go-round and no clear decision, then we would have the ability to have
Come
another.
back and talk.
Yeah.
Time to think
Well, we
about it.
can't talk about it.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, and with that, that'll bring us to the next item.
Thank you, Your Honor. That is the status and review of proclamation of local emergency, COVID-19. And Julie, if you don't mind, I'm going to turn it over to you, because Ms. Liu has been tracking all of the activity coming out of the governor's office, as well as OSHA, and it is a lot to track. It is changing daily particularly today being the magic day, June 15th, where everything changes.
Right, so as of today, virtually all of the restrictions on the businesses and public and social distancing and even quite frankly, masking are gone. However, we still have OSHA guidelines in place that have not been changed yet concerning the workplace, which is why you see we're all wearing masks still in the chambers, because we're all working at the moment. However, public would have the option not to do that if they so desired. So we do expect that to change. We're just not quite sure when. I'm not sure the state of California knows when.
I was waiting for that.
So, California, the OSHA board has gone back and forth. The governor actually made it very clear today that he expects them to actually fall in line with what the Department of Health guidelines are and what his directives have been, which reading between the lines means that even if OSHA were to do something inconsistent, it's possible that the governor could override it even. So we'll just have to we're watching, keeping track of it on a day-by-day basis. We expect what will happen will be that if you are not, really the rules are that if you are, with the workplace will be, if you are vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask anymore in most circumstances. There may be some exceptions. Obviously, with healthcare workers, there are still exceptions to that rule. But if you are not vaccinated, you are very likely going to be required to wear them in most circumstances. Maybe not necessarily always outside, but certainly when you're inside working. So this will pose some interesting issues for the city as an employer, as all employers, in dealing with that. There are also, just so everybody's aware, with regard to the vaccinated versus unvaccinated, businesses have all options as to what they want to do with those that are visiting their business or those that are, that they're doing business with. One of those can be that they can still, notwithstanding what the rules are, require masks if they want. In fact, it's going to be illegal in California to force, not say that you can't allow masks. So you always will be able, that will always be an option, at least in California. I'm having trouble hearing you. Sorry, Siri thinks we're talking to her. Anyways, so that's one option. The other option will be that they can require masks for those that are unvaccinated and not require them for those that are vaccinated. And then under that, there's a subset requirement of how they do that. They can either just require what they call self-attestation, which is just somebody on the honor system representing whether or not they are, and they can just take that, and they can maybe require them to check a box or sign something that basically says, yes, I'm vaccinated, or no, I'm not. Or they can require proof. So along with the proof issue, the state of California is developing an electronic verification system where you'll be able to, if you're vaccinated, kind of have it on your phone or have it, a system, basically an electronic verification that you can carry with you. You don't have to worry about having your little card with you. They've acknowledged, the state of California has acknowledged that there is a problem with businesses offering to produce fraudulent vaccination cards. So, because there will be things that you can do and can't do in this, in the state and even outside the state of California, if you're vaccinated versus being unvaccinated, or your comfort level of whether or not you have to wear a mask. So we can expect we're going to be seeing a lot of activity in all these areas. With regard to temporary dining permits, those we are no longer required to do anything like that. However, the governor is strongly encouraging that to potentially continue where possible. So I know that that's one of the things that's on for tonight, and I'll turn it over to Jason to go over that in greater detail. But one of the things we're going to be asking the councils to consider going ahead and extending that for those that want to do it. So, because I know that it's, in some of our situations, it would not necessarily be allowed for the particular business given their configuration or what area they're using for that outdoor dining space. So the idea is that we go ahead and kind of allow it to go on at least until the end of the year, maybe a little bit beyond the end of the year due to the holidays. But then we'll probably need to start looking at what do we want to do long term, because some of those scenarios don't work out as well as others. But we may want to consider some permanent changes that would at least increase flexibility for many of the businesses if they want to exercise that option. So that's one thing I know city staff is looking at. What else do I need to cover? I think that's most of it. I know that we do have there's one peripheral issue concerning the city council has allowed the swap meet, the Porterville College Foundation's swap meet to move out to the fairgrounds. I know there's an interest in at least continuing that for the time being. So I think we're going to be asking that you go ahead and bless that extension through the end of the year. That'll be coming back to be formal, to be formally approved at a future council meeting. But, and then they're working out whether that'll become, whether they'll be asking us for a more permanent change or whether it'll just still, it'll only be a temporary thing for now. So we'll update you on that. Is there anything else I'm missing? Okay. So I think the only thing is outdoor dining. I think we are going to actually ask for a formal approval on that, but I'll let Jason chime in on that. I'm sure he has more to say than I do.
Yes, no problem there. Thank you, Julia. Yeah, so we have had an outdoor dining program, and we've had about 19 businesses apply for an outdoor dining permit. Staff reached out to those, sent an email communication to those. We did receive some feedback from a restaurant that had an interest in extending that outdoor dining opportunity in this temporary fashion. The governor sent out a letter to local jurisdictions requesting that outdoor dining remain in effect through the end of the year. So we're just seeking guidance and direction from the council as to whether you would like to extend our temporary outdoor dining permit to extend through the end of the year or a different time frame, or if you would like for them to end it and have staff come back with another program that's a more permanent style program instead of the 10 by 10 easy ups that we're seeing, a different configuration. Or we could, council could direct staff to continue the program through the end of the year, reach out to those that currently have it to see who wants to remain, and then staff could work to help remove some of the city barricades and other things to clean up those areas and provide for those parking lots to get back into use, to provide parking for those facilities. And then at the time that, if at a time in the future, they may desire to come back and have a permit again, they could reapply at that time. So several options. Staff is open to council's direction and available to answer any specific questions.
Great, thank you. Thank you both for the report and the information. Council, do we have any questions for staff?
Just, I apologize, I'm sorry. Just for point of clarification, please, with regard to the outdoor dining, the option would be a contact with the people who are currently on it to see if they wish to retain that, and those that wish to be removed, city staff will come in and remove them almost immediately, with the understanding that they will be provided the information that should they remove them, they would have to apply for it again.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Okay, that's just for point of clarification. That was it.
Okay, great. And I did have a question. So I know that the events had been prohibited before, community civic events, and now it seems that most events, with the exception of mega events, are to be allowed to, at least at the discretion or as normally through the council process. So I think as part of the outdoor dining, I think at least it's worth mentioning to the restaurants when we do finally decide how we proceed, to mention that there is a possibility for outdoor events to happen, and that the potential of outdoor dining could actually be a greater benefit to some of the people who do have outdoor dining for the locals, rather than bringing in vendors or outside groups to provide food. So that it could be an extra benefit should those events start to take place again on Main Street or on the side streets. I think it's worth noting in those conversations with with the restaurants as we proceed through that. But I think that the option, just as many of the choices with face coverings are becoming more of a personal choice at a more granular level at different options, I think it's worthwhile to note and let those dining facilities make the decision that's best for them. And of course, anticipating, that these new regulations as they come out, as cloudy as they may be, could potentially be divisive, but hopefully everybody understands that all these discussions we're having are for the benefit of the community as well as the business community, and that the protection of the public as such. An instance or an example is that we're wearing face coverings, but that the public no longer needs to. And I think that's worth noting, that there is a certain degree of freedom of choice being introduced or reintroduced back to us, and hopefully in the spirit of that, we'll be able to move swiftly and smoothly to the new phase. So with that, we'll bring it back to council.
Mayor, may I comment as I'm reading through this? It's my understanding that the process for the dining permits would be until June 30th of 2021, as I'm reading it on here? Is that when, and then?
I believe that's for the current timeframe.
That's the current timeframe, and asking it to extend it.
Extend it.
To the end of the year.
To the end of the year or first week of 2021 as applicable, to be able to end a program as.
Thank you. That was another clarification. I'm okay with that. All right, thank you.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion to.
I will make the motion to extend the dining program. And I know there was one more. What was it?
The fair?
Oh, yes, and the
To
fair.
January 2nd.
To January 2nd.
And I will second that.
Okay, and
And then that we continue, do we still have to continue the order of
Yes,
order?
and you
that
do
we
need to still continue the proclamation of emergency
There we
because that
go.
did not get lifted. That is still in effect.
And that we continue the order, okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and that's just to ask Mr. Ridenhour if he has enough, if that's enough guidance to.
Yes, and just, I'll repeat it just to make sure that we're on the same page. I'm going to reach out to all the businesses who have permits and request if they would like to continue. If they'd like to continue, the program will remain in effect until January 2nd, as well as the ability for Porterville College Foundation to host their weekly Saturday swap meet at the fairgrounds.
Okay, great. And so with the motion and the second, we'll, any further discussion?
The only thing I was going to just add in, one more reminder of what the vice mayor had brought up is if the businesses choose to not have outdoor, they're just notified for sure, clear that they would have to reapply to open.
Okay,
Only comment.
great. And so it's great to be clear on all this, so I appreciate that. So we'll go ahead and we'll call for the vote. Okay, passes 4-0. Thank you. Should we take a recess now? Yeah. Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll take a 10-minute recess, and we'll resume reconvene from the recess, and with the conclusion of item 19, we will adjourn to a joint meeting of the City Council, Porterville Public Improvement Corporation, and Public Financing Authority. Will we have roll call, please?
Member and Director Carrillo,
Present?
Member and Director Stowe,
Here.
Vice Mayor and Vice President Flores,
Present.
Mayor and President Reyes.
Present. Thank you. Do we have any written communication?
Your Honor, we have received no email, written communication, and does not appear that there's anyone in the gallery that wishes to speak.
Okay. Do we have any oral communications within the chamber? Okay. Seeing none, we will move to the joint scheduled matters.
Thank you, Your Honor. The one item before you tonight is the refinancing of the 2015 certificates of participation.
Before you go on, the bottom line of this whole thing is that we're going to change our percentage from 3.85 to 2.70, is that correct?
That is correct.
And we're going to save the city $64,643 a year, per year, annually?
Correct, until 2035.
Okay, with the changes of this, so, Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we make this change and accept the, the financing authorities refinancing and approve the certificate of 2015 for participation.
Mayor, I'd like to comment before I say I'm going to second. Having been a participant on the audit committee, we were provided with the substantial information of the background summary and the savings and the timeline and the time frame, that it was, it is a presentation that is in a good, it's something that we need to move forward to. That's all I'm going to say. So I will second Councilmember Stowe.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
I just think Ray Charles is going to see this one. This was
Okay. I can't think of a good comeback yet. I will probably about midnight tonight, so we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Okay. Passes 4-0. Thank you. And now we will adjourn to a meeting of the Porterville City Council. And we'll move into oral communications. Do you have any? Yes. Please step forward and state your name.
Mayor Richard Tree, 33232 Tulare Oak Drive, Springville. Just want to say thanks to the council for approving the MOU between the Tulare County Regional Transit Agency and the city. I have enjoyed every minute being a staff member for the city of Porterville. I look forward to working with the city and continuing all its wonderful projects regarding public transportation, and look forward to being a regular fixture here, talking about all of the wonderful things we're doing regionally, but also here locally as well. So thank you again for approving the MOU, and look forward to working with staff once again.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Tree. Anyone else want to come forward? Okay. Seeing none in the chamber, is there anyone online or virtual or electronic?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. And we will move to other matters. Councilmember Carrillo, did you have any other matters?
Yes, I have a couple. First of all, I would like to thank the Tulare River Council member, Gary Santos, on attending tonight's meeting on behalf of the tribe. I want to acknowledge that the words you gave about having a positive relationship and continuing that and dialogue as a partner. And I look forward to more meetings with the tribal council members attending and continuing that partnership. So I just want to thank you for that. The second item I want to bring up is that our tribe has lost some members over this past year. And on June 3rd, we lost an elder, Nicola Nana Larson. She passed away. She was a very special lady, tribal member, elder, and one of our last language speakers of the Alumni Yokuts language. She was a basket weaver, a Yokuts basket weaver. And I think, as some of you know, that the Yokuts baskets are very unique. And also the designs are very distinct. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because the basket weavers are becoming more and more rare. We don't have very many basket weavers left. So I just wanted to acknowledge that because we still have a funeral coming up for that elder. And one of the reasons why she is so important to me is she is actually the one who offered the prayer the night that I was seated on city council. And you know, she was really proud that I was the first Tulare River tribal member to be seated. And she's not, you know, she wasn't real comfortable with sharing the language and not being here and being recorded, but she was willing to do that for me. And I just wanted to share, you know, I wish I brought the words from that, but what she prayed for wasn't me, it was for all 5 of us sitting up here and for the people of our city. And so I thought that was really special. So I just wanted to remind us all of that. And then I just wanted to thank the council and the city staff for the condolences that you all sent and prayers, and also the beautiful flowers that you sent to my house. So I just wanted to say I genuinely appreciate you all. And that's all I had.
It's a quick question. Didn't Nicola teach the youth of your tribe the language?
Yes,
Yeah, so I
she
thought
did.
she was the one that carried on in her.
Yeah, she did. And she does have a niece and nieces and family members that she did teach basket weaving. And they do, you know, still make cradle boards and baskets and things like that. And there's still a language program on our reservation. But she was one of the instrumental elders in our community.
She was a wonderful lady.
Yes.
She was.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stowe?
Yes, thank you. I just have a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to give my sincere condolences to the Stoll and the Lawless families for their loss. You can see that our city manager isn't here because they have a service tomorrow for his grandfather-in-law, and who was a very nice man as well, and that's a huge loss to their family because he was the patriarch of that family. And Councilmember Kelly stole my thunder, thanking Gary and Rick for being here tonight, and we appreciate that. And I do appreciate the young lady that gave the prayer. You know, it's not often we get public to come in and give us a prayer, and I appreciate that very much. I really do. And Richard, congratulations on your new job, you traitor. I mean, you good guy, you. I mean, we're rooting for you all the way. But we're going to miss you. You did wonders for us around here. I know you're going to do good things with the regional transit. So we're expecting to see this thing, see airplanes fly through here soon. So, all right. Well, good luck to you. That's all that I have.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I just want to, there's a few things, but first of all, I want to offer the condolences because I knew Nicola. This is what she always told me her name was. In other words, I met her and we went to school together. So I have fond memories of her from high school. And that's when I first met her. And as I said, we have had a lot of people who have passed away, and we have also had some celebrations and the graduations that have made a lot of students that went across all the campuses, not just here, but in our surrounding areas. One of the things that I'd like to bring for a future discussion meeting would be regarding the sign ordinance, the signage, so we could have a discussion on council regarding pop-ups and the feather banners, and just to begin a conversation as to where we would go with some of that, because there seems to be an abundance. And then I would like to just share for transparency and courteous to the dais here, is that this Saturday, Jovita Castaneda and the La Casa de Jovita reception, we each received an invitation. She did an outreach, and she did call me, and they wanted a member of council who was bilingual, and I told her before I could accept it, I would run it by the mayor, because he would be the one to be the spokesperson on behalf of the city, and that I would share the information with him. Being said, we had the conversation, and I checked the protocol as the process. I will be attending the meeting, but I accepted the invitation, and my attendance will be as a council member. And I will just say a few words with regard to the apartments that she remodeled the historical building and remained focused on housing, but I wanted to share it here. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. I just have a few words to say. Of course, tonight's meeting, there are definitely some changes in the requirements, and allowing a little bit more freedom, and how people operate. And it's not quite normal or normalcy, but it's getting closer to what people have been looking for and really striving for. So there's some uplifting portions of the meeting which don't always happen, but I'm always glad. And of course, we do have some levity at times when we're discussing things, and that's something I'm very privileged to have with folks as we're trying to conduct the city's business. But I did also want to acknowledge, the losses that there have been recently, and Councilmember Carrillo, of course, mentioning the loss of a tribal elder, and our city manager, his absence, and due to the loss in his family, and even extending to who's here in his stead, Ms. Hildreth, a loss in her family. So I have to acknowledge that this has, been a very, and I could go back further than that, but that's even more painful to discuss. So just acknowledging those losses, and keeping those in our mind. But with Councilmember Carrillo, I just want to express that how grateful and welcome the prayer that was given for when you were seated was for this chamber, and just as welcome as you are on this council. Very significant addition, and I'm very happy for that. So the other part I wanted to mention, I guess just a little more back to the technical ins and outs of being a council member. I participated in the Flag Day celebration, which you may have seen in the paper. Didn't go off without a hitch, but the flag did come down, and the new flag will go up, as the public is used to seeing that unusually large flag. But this city is, I would say, extraordinarily, and in some cases unusually, patriotic for what it's done with the military banners, and how it pays tribute to its community and all of its members. So I'm very grateful and happy to be part of this group, and I guess that concludes my comments. So I'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do have just two things. First, staff would also like to congratulate Mr. Tree and thank him for his service to our community, in both the capacity as the operator and administrator through SM Transit, and then also as a city employee. So we congratulate him and wish him all the best with his new position. And then secondly, we are considering the temperatures are rising drastically. We are going to be activating our cooling centers. So City Hall acts as a cooling center during regular business hours. In fact, the chambers here are available to those individuals seeking some cool place to sit. And then off hours, we are looking at activating that tomorrow, I believe, and I'm going to call on Chief Lapierre, but that is going to be out at Station 2.
Yeah, due to the temperatures rising, between 107 and all the way to 112 throughout the valley from Wednesday all the way till, which is tomorrow, all the way till Sunday, we will be opening up the cooling centers. And so just like the Deputy City Manager stated, the cooling centers from 8 to 5 is City Hall and the Transit Center. And from 5 o'clock on till 10 o'clock is going to be Station 72 at the training facility at 500 North Newcomb. There's been some arrangements made for transit to provide free transportation to anyone that wants to go to the cooling center at 500 North Newcomb. Flyers have been made and distributed up and down the river and to people that appear to be affected by homelessness in an attempt to ward off any heat-related injuries that we would experience within the jurisdiction. And I'm available for any other questions on the matter, if you have any.
I just want to thank you, Chief, and the fire department for being able to help with that, and with so many things happening, those caring acts that we take, such as having a cooling center, sometimes they're not as clear as they have been in the past, but I'm sure glad that there's people that are still looking to make sure those things happen, and as we are in store for some very, very difficult and hot days coming up. So thank you. And any other questions for Chief Lapierre? Okay, thank you.
One other thing, it's been a team effort. I'd like to thank Jay Costello for providing personnel, and also Donnie Moore personnel to man the cooling center, and also Mike Knight for coordinating the transportation. And also the Deputy City Manager for being on point for the temperature rise, and it's just a very good team we've got going on. So, thank you.
Very good, very good. At a great company front. That's awesome. I remember in marching band when you would have everybody of great talent in a straight line marching. It was very overwhelming sound and a very proud feeling. So I'm grateful that you mentioned those who are also behind these efforts. I did have one thing I wanted to mention for a future meeting. I wanted to take a look at, I recall Councilmember Stowe in previous years looking at some of the issues that had to do with code enforcement, but one thing I've noticed is an increase in recreational vehicles and boats in residential areas, and where there hasn't always been enough staff or time or a combination of those to keep tabs or follow the ordinances. I wanted to look at how we can do that now that we have had a little bit more freedom and a little bit of a release from what we've seen in the last year, and as we move forward, looking at how we can get back on track with that before it becomes something that is more commonplace than it should be. So thank you. Any other comments? Okay.
I just have one more. In the absence of Mr. Lawless, Mrs. Hildreth did a wonderful job of leading the meeting or carrying the meeting on, as Mr. Lawless would.
I agree. So with that, we will adjourn the meeting of Porterville City Council to we'll have the special meeting on the 29th.
5:30 is fine.
5:30, and then our regular meeting on July 6th. So with that, meeting adjourned. Thank you.